Did you know at this very moment someone is on Amazon and Etsy actively looking for a quality coloring and activity book to add to their shopping cart? The only question is, will it be yours? Since you're listening to this podcast, hence the name of the show, it's pretty safe to assume that you have a keen interest in creating and selling your first or next coloring book. And it's for that reason I want to assure you you're in the right place. And I'd like to help you make it a reality by inviting you to check out the Coloring Book Creator Mentor Program, the first of its kind complete A to Z course that features live weekly coaching, resources, templates, and an extremely supportive online community, all designed to assure that you create a standout in-demand coloring book that you'll actually enjoy creating, promoting, and selling. Imagine the feeling of knowing somewhere in the world someone is adding your beautiful new book to their shopping cart, investing in a piece of your creativity. Enrollment is open and you can get started by going to coloringbookcreatorcourse.com. That's coloringbookcreatorcourse.com. You're listening to the Coloring Book Creator Podcast, episode 19. And in this episode, I'm going to share the number one thing that you must start focusing on immediately if you want to start selling more coloring books or anything else on social media. So stay tuned. I feel that 90% of creative entrepreneurs that use social media to promote their biz, myself included, often miss the biggest opportunity to attract customers and get sales. And it's one word. Well, actually, it's two words. It's be social. Now, let's be honest. Almost every person using social media for their biz is probably doing this. It's what I call posting in what I call a drive-by fashion, meaning typically we offer little to no engagement to anyone that comments on our post. Either we don't post at all at worst, or we don't respond, I should say, at all at worst, or maybe we respond with an emoji, or maybe a one-word response like thanks at best. And listen, I get it. It takes time to craft a thoughtful response, especially if you're lucky enough to get anyone commenting on your post in the first place. But I can tell you from personal experience, thoughtful commenting works. Think of it this way. You wouldn't reply to someone you just met at, let's say, a party or a networking meeting who's genuinely trying to engage with you, and you would respond to them with a one-word response or a thumbs up like an emoji. Of course, you wouldn't do that. You would ask them a little about themselves, which is the key to what you're going to do now to start getting more engagement on your social. You ask a little about themselves, which opens the pathway to starting a conversation. Because the bottom line is this: once you start a conversation with someone, they're now connecting to you and you're connecting to them. And that's the number one reason why I say that the thing that most of us miss the opportunity on with social media is the being social part. So how do you do that? Well, you might be thinking, what do I say? What do I do? If someone comments on my posts, what do I respond back to them with? The same way you would if you were meeting someone, let's say that same person at a gathering. You would ask them a question. Questions always open the door for conversation. Now, if you're stumped on what to say, what to respond, because I know it can take time to think, oh my goodness, I'm going to have to write some long drawn out post every time someone comments on my post on social media. I'm not suggesting that at all. Your responses to someone commenting on your post can be as simple as asking a question. Now, one of the things that I do when someone joins my Coloring Book Creator Live Facebook group is one of the first things I ask them in the welcome post that I always do with every new person that joins my Facebook group. One of the first things I ask them is, tell me about your coloring book idea. That immediately gets the person reading to do just that. Tell me about their coloring book idea. Of course, to that, I can then respond to what I think about their idea, or if I feel like I need to know more about the idea, I'll respond back to their response. Tell me a little bit more. The reason why this is an appropriate question to ask is because one of the first things that I offer anyone who connects with me through my Facebook group is I offer a workshop where I help new people discover and uncover their sellable coloring book idea. So if I'm asking that question, it's because I want to know more. And then either I will invite them to then join me either for a live, if I'm doing a live presentation of that workshop, or I can reply with a link to the recording of a past workshop. This is how I'm not starting out the gate trying to quote unquote pitch something. I'm starting out with, I specifically want to know what, in this context, what your coloring book idea is about. By the person then reading that, responds to that, I can then ask more questions, more qualifying questions, and then reply with an invitation to either join me live or catch the replay of a recording of a past presentation. So the number one thing I want to share with you on this is when you ask questions that you really want to have the answer to. When you're asking your question or crafting your question to that response, one of the best things that you can start out with if you're stumped is, one question you could say is, or ask is, thank you for your comment. How are you today? That's one question. Let them respond, then respond back. Another question could be, what brings you over to the page? Or what encouraged you to join the Facebook group? How did you find my page? How did you find my group? Those are some questions that you could ask. Again, you're trying to have a conversation, not immediately going right into go purchase whatever it is that you're offering. In this context, perhaps your book. If the person has joined your group as a response to perhaps a free coloring page that you gave them or they found it somewhere, questions that you could obviously ask is, hi, did you get a chance to download the pages I gave you? What did you think about the pages? Did you get a chance to color them? If you did, could you post it? I'd like to see it. Those are questions that you could be asking. If it's leading towards, say, your book, obviously the pages that you would give as a sample would connect to the book, perhaps, or maybe not. Maybe it's a book that you're still working on. Maybe you could ask for feedback. This is another great response that you could do. Hey, I'm working on a new book, and I have a couple of pages I'm thinking about putting in the book, or these are the covers I'm thinking about putting on the book. Could I share them with you and get your feedback? Then you could respond with those images and then get their feedback and then start the conversation that way. So there are multiple ways to be able to get that conversation started. Let's say you post something in your group or on your page or you're asking for feedback, and you could ask them, what resonated with you about the post I did today? Now, assuming that the person is commenting in the first place, they need to comment. So let's say you post something, maybe you post a little short video clip of something that you're talking about, or maybe you post a couple of your coloring pages, and then someone comments about it. Then you respond back to that comment by saying, what resonated about the pictures? What resonated with you about what I shared today? Again, you want to ask questions that don't elicit a yes or no response where you can, because a yes or no response basically positions it to be potentially a hard stop in the conversation flow. You want to be able to ask a question that gets a response that you can then respond back to and keep that flow going a little bit. Now, I'm not saying you're going to spend hours going back and forth with this person. I'm not suggesting that at all. What I am suggesting is that you're getting the engagement going so that you're able to then make an offer to something that could lead to something that you offer, that you charge for. Perhaps your coloring book or workshop that you're doing or anything along those lines. But you've got to be able to get the conversation started first. Obviously, if you've given someone, let's say, sample pages from your book, and you ask them to post the finished colored pages that they've done, then obviously the conversation could be about, I have a book of these many different pages. Would you like, I can send you the link. I can DM you the link. Now, this is where you have an opportunity here, a two-sided opportunity here. You can either ask permission to DM them the link to whatever your paid offer is, or you can reply in the comments with the link. Either way works. Sometimes in some instances, I like the direct message, but the thing with direct messaging, sometimes people don't see it. So again, I always will ask permission. I'd like to DM you a link to this, or maybe they've gotten something for free and maybe you have one more thing you'd like to give them. Could I DM that to you? The reason why you'd want to DM them is because you want another layer in which to engage. The thing with commenting on posts on social media is sometimes people miss things. They might not see it. But if I DM you the link to something, chances are greater that you are going to see it. Now, some people don't check their DMs, but most of us do. I always check my DMs. So DM is basically the online iteration of texting. And I'm pretty much always going to see a DM. So if I want to take it a little bit off the group or off the page, and maybe I want to provide a link to something that they can go get access to, that maybe I don't want the whole group to see, that's when I'll say, I just DM'd you the link, or I'd like to DM you the link to this. Can I do that? And if they come back, yes, of course, then DM them the link. Then that way you have an extra layer in which to engage in conversation. So again, to recap, what we want to do is we want to be able to comment on people's comments with something deeper than just a thanks or an emoji response. The best response that you can come back with to someone's comment is to ask a question. How did they find you? What brought them here? What are they doing? How are they doing? Anything that can help take it further than just a yes or no response. If they're commenting on a post, ask them what resonated with them about the post. What did they like about it? And again, respond back. Then once you've got some dialogue going back and forth, then if there's something that you can offer them for free or for paid, offer to either respond in the comments with that link, or where you can, I recommend direct message. I recommend not openly sharing the links, because if, let's say for an example, one of the ways to deepen the layer is to get them to DM with you. If I just post a link where everyone can see it, then I lose that opportunity to be able to take the message maybe off the group or off the page. So if I say something to the effect, okay, well, could I DM you the link to whatever this may be? Perhaps, for an example, if you want to direct them to go, say, purchase your book on Amazon, maybe there's something extra that you'll give them because they actually would go to Amazon and say, buy your book, just using that as an example. You may not want to make that a public declaration, but in a private direct message conversation, you could do that. Because if you make it as a public declaration style post where you're going to say, if you buy a physical copy of my book, I'm going to give you another copy of it digitally. You may not want to do that all the time. You may not want to be committed to that all the time. But if you post it in your group or on your page, then let's say if you change your mind about that, say 6 months or so down the road, that person could come back and say, oh, well, I thought I was going to get a digital copy of it too. It may not be a big deal to do that on an ongoing regular basis, but you may decide you don't want to be committed to that. Or perhaps you give them something more tangible. So let's say, for an example, they buy 2 or 3 or 4 books and you give them a set of pencils as a bonus gift for that. That may be something you don't want to make a public declaration about on your page or your group, but that conversation can happen between you and that person in the DMs. I'm not saying it's right or wrong either way. I'm saying whatever you decide has to work for you. And again, those comments and that conversation lives in your group into perpetuity unless you take it down. So again, the main focus here at this juncture is to do the number one thing that this whole podcast episode is about, which is to be social. Comment back with thoughtful comments and start a conversation, not just one word responses or just an emoji. Do that, and you will increase the likelihood that, first of all, more of your posts will be seen. Because again, all of the social media platforms, the algorithm is all activated based on activity. So the more conversation going back and forth between you and multiple people, the more that post is going to get pushed out in social media, which means more people will see it, which means more people will comment, which gives you more opportunity to engage. What I love about this is that you're not relying on, and what many of us mistakenly believe is that just because I posted and just because someone sees my post, that they're going to click on a link and go buy something. Typically, what has to happen, it has to be some kind of a conversation between you and the people who are engaging with your post. That conversation and that connecting with you is what is going to drive people into, or I shouldn't say drive people, inspire people to want to take action on what you have to offer, both free and or paid. And it's another example of what I say all the time to all of my members of my Coloring Book Creator Mentor Program is you have got to get in front of your book. All righty? So I hope you found value in this short episode of the podcast. Again, I would love it if you'd come over to the Coloring Book Live Creator Facebook group. And what I'll do is I'll make a post in that group, and I'll even put a link to that in the show notes of this podcast. Come over and tell me what you thought of this podcast, and I will respond to you with a thoughtful response. Enjoy the rest of your day. Thank you so much for listening, and I will see you on the next episode. And before I go, I do have one ask. Wherever you're listening to this podcast episode, whether it's on Spotify, on iTunes, or whatever, I would love it if you would rate and review the show. Tell me what you thought about this episode. Of course, I'd love it if you'd listen to other episodes. Give me a rating and review about it, because your ratings and reviews help more people find the show. So I would really greatly appreciate that. And if you rate and review the show, take a screenshot of your review and send that to me, and I'll respond with a special bonus that I will only tell you about if you send me over a screenshot of that review. So you can do that either by Facebook, you can send it to me through Messenger, and I will be more than happy to respond back with you with that special surprise bonus I'd like to share with you. Again, it helps to get the show seen, and I want to reward you for your time, because I know it takes time to write those reviews and post that, and I want to reward you for your time and your effort. So thank you so much for listening, and I look forward to checking with you on the next episode of the podcast. Take care.